let's do some quick introductions just as people join here. I'm Tim Newstead. I'm one of the coaches for the Gearheads. Presenting for us tonight is John Sobolski. John, you can wave. Hi.
Hello.
Hey, John is one of our on the drive team for us this year, and also is one of our mechanical design team leads as well. Well, first up, we're super happy to welcome you to the rookie qualifier. The rookie qualifier, I think, is a fantastic idea. I give a lot of credit to the Wisconsin first team, to kind of come up with the idea and put it together in Wisconsin. This will be the second time we've hosted it. It's meant to really be a learning environment. These webinars are a part of that, just to give both coaches and team members some tools and some idea of what do I do and how does this work, and breaking down a few steps for you. I think portfolio is one of the ones people worry about. Portfolio and judging, I think, are the ones that people are kind of most concerned about. But so we're going to do those topics early. We don't want it to be intimidating, so I'll give you what we are going to do tonight is John is going to walk through kind of what the portfolio does, or in what and how it presents content for the award judging and content for the judging your team. And keep in mind, the portfolio is the one document that the judges have in front of you, in front of them. And although the judges can take inputs from the interviews and the team discussions, the portfolio really plays a critical part to communicate to lots of judges for awards. So John will run down through a presentation describing the content of the portfolio, kind of organized by award to give you some idea of what needs to be in there. And then don't worry, we're also going to give you a little bit of a cheat sheet at the end, which is a suggested template for your portfolio. Not the content, but here's what your 15 pages, what they might look like, and what the content could be on each page. And we can tell you that, if you get that content on the portfolio pages, be confident that you've covered all the basics for all the awards. So it's the same information, but it's sometimes helpful to look at it in that template format. And then you can say, okay, I need a portfolio page that looks like this. I can fill it in for my team. And that makes it a little bit less intimidating. And we'll share the files, both this presentation as well as the portfolio template, for you guys, and try to get it out early so you can start working on it with your teams. Okay. We'll try to get John's presentation in about 15 minutes. We'll leave some time for questions and maybe fill in some more details that you guys would like to learn about. Okay, fair enough. If you've got questions along the way that you want to kind of, if there's something, that's like, hey, it's a really important to ask right now, go ahead and unmute and do that. We'll also watch the meeting chat for questions. Ria, I guess could I ask you to kind of watch the chat window for things along the meeting and just see what's coming in, and we'll definitely get to those questions when we get to the Q&A period. Okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right, fair enough. John, I will start the presentation here. Give me 1 second for screen sharing. Just let me know if that looks like it's working for you guys.
Yeah, that seems to be good.
Okay. You just tell me when you want to go forward, John, if I miss it.
All right. Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about how to put together your engineering portfolio. Now, what is an engineering portfolio? It's basically a summary of everything that you've done throughout the season, everything that you advanced with, everything that you've improved so far. Basically, it's a resume of what your team has accomplished throughout the season. As we like to say, if you didn't document it, it didn't happen. So everything in the portfolio is essentially to tell the judges what you've done throughout the season that makes you eligible for certain awards, or just to show that you have actually done the work that you say you've done. So if we go to the next slide, we'll see some general rules for portfolios. Now, some of the biggest ones are that portfolios cannot exceed 15 pages. They can be less than that, but you'll generally want to get as much out of it as you can. And you'll probably have a lot of information that you'll need to squeeze into those 15 pages. And then, of course, you need to have your cover page listing who your team is, your team number, all of that, just so the judges know who you are. And then the font minimums, those are also very important to make sure the judges can read everything on your portfolio. And then obviously no outside links, because that would exceed the 15 pages. There's some other stuff about artificial intelligence. That's some newer stuff. The more specific details on those rules are available through a link that we have at the end of the presentation if you want to take a closer look. All right, next slide. Yeah, so these are just some more general guidelines. A lot of these aren't strict rules, but they're important if you want your portfolio to be legible, easy for the judges to read, and most importantly, to tell the story of what your team has accomplished through the season. So organization is number one priority for the portfolio, because if the judges are looking through the portfolio and they don't know where to find some information that they're looking for, they might just not be able to count it because they don't know where it is. So make sure that you have everything organized neatly in good sections. Again, font size is very important. Make sure you have a consistent font size, consistent use of images as well. Images definitely help emphasize things that you may claim to have done and prove that you did the things that you say you did. Yeah, next page, please. So, very, very important things for before you even start on your portfolio. Make sure you're taking lots of photos, not just of events or of your completed robot. Make sure you're getting images of steps along your engineering process, because that's a huge part of the portfolio and telling the story that your team has done throughout the season. Getting pictures throughout the engineering process, throughout the process of planning, is huge for most of the awards in judging. And also make sure you have all of your information organized on volunteering hours, your logs, anything that you see fit to include as would help you qualify for more awards, pretty much. Next slide, please. So now we're going to get into the specific awards that you can get based off of your portfolio content. So first up is the Think Award, and the stuff that's required for the Think Award is basically just your evidence, lessons learned, trade-offs, anything that shows the engineering process in action, shows that you thought through the design of your robot. And mathematical analysis is also very good. Shows that you weren't just like trial and erroring everything, which it's fine to trial and error some stuff, but if you show that you really did the work to think through stuff before you even made your robot, it really just goes the extra mile in getting you that award. Next slide will show some suggested things that are really good to have on your portfolio. These include stuff that are important for sustaining your team, which also loops over into the Sustain Award, which we'll cover later. And also, again, organization, super key for this one, because you're showing the progression of your thoughts and how you planned for the rest of your season and your robot. So moving on to the next award is the Connect Award. Required stuff is your team member skills and the goals that you had and how you tried to achieve those goals. The Connect Award is really focused on your own team, making sure that you're trying to build your team and build connections with the community as well. So it's a lot of that sort of thing. Suggested things are more on the next slide, more like specific examples of how you've reached out to the STEM community. Specific examples, again, are super important. If you have pictures, all the better. And numbers as well. If you have hours for the amount of people impacted, things like that, they just go the extra mile in driving home your point. The next award on the next slide is the Motivate Award. And again, organization is mainly focused around your goals, your sustainability, but also your risk management, things like your plans that you have for the future in your season. So that also ties back a bit to your Think Award. There's a bit of overlap there. But this one is much more focused around planning for not just the robot, but also your outreach and your season as a whole. For the suggested parts of this award, if you show that you're really connecting to the first community, it just goes the extra mile. Again, specific numbers, specific statistics, and also lessons learned. anything that you can use to show that your team has grown as a result of the outreach that you've done, been motivated, as it were. The next award is the Innovate Award. And this one is much more focused on the design of your robot. Um, it's very much about being unique. Even if your robot doesn't perform the best, if it has a unique design, it functions uniquely and it's decently consistent. You have a good chance of getting this award. So in your portfolio, you'll really want to emphasize things like things that you've done differently than any other team. If you have a specific design element, whether it be mechanical or software related, if you emphasize it here, you'll have a better chance of getting recognized for your work. For suggested, um, again, really emphasize your creative design. And also, if you can, show your design trade-offs, your risk management. Again, that ties back huge into the design of your robot. Okay, next award is the Control Award. And you have to have hardware and software components on the robot, which challenges you want to solve, how each component system works, and you also must show the solutions that you used to get your robot to function properly. So that's basically, if you had a problem that you need to work through, you need to show how you worked through it in detail as best as you can. And again, that can be pretty difficult for the portfolio just because you need to show that progression of information on just 15 slides. Next slide. The suggested is definitely documentation. Specific numbers are huge for this one, just like all the rest of them. And also show your engineering process even more in depth here. Show how you were able to overcome those problems that you were having. You'll want to emphasize as best as you can stuff like how you made your robot more reliable. Stuff like the engineering process. Again, I think I already mentioned that. The Control Award is also very focused on reliability, just like the Innovate Award. You want to show how you're able to progress through your designs. If you have multiple iterations of your robot, you'll really want to emphasize the changes in like sensors, especially the ways that you've been able to improve your robot and progress through the season. The next and final award is the Design Award. And this one, more so than the Innovate Award, is focused on the overall aesthetic appeal more than the actual functioning of it. It is even more so focused on the unique design of your robot. And also, if it's practical to maintain, that's huge to emphasize for this award as well. And again, the engineering process, very important to show for this award. For your suggested parts of it, you'll want to, of course, emphasize the aesthetic. Next slide, please. The aesthetic and the functional design show how they're interrelated with each other. Obviously, if your robot just has like loose wires hanging everywhere, you'll be less eligible for this award, and you'll want to show in your portfolio a good demonstration of how your robot looks good and is able to function easily. That is all of the awards. Here's some additional resources. The first one in particular is very helpful. It shows you a lot of the more formatting related parts of your portfolio, specific rules. Again, this ties back to the rules about AI that we saw earlier. I believe this goes more in depth on those rules. So if you want to take a look at that, the link is there.
Very good. Thanks, Sean. I'm going to switch over to the portfolio template. Just give me 1 second here. And I think one comment, two comments to start forward here as we go through the portfolio template a little bit. One, you'll notice there is a lot of content that's overlapping between awards too. So you really can't. I think the best way is to organize your portfolio by some of these larger topics rather than trying to have portfolio pages for each award because of that overlap. So we're going to suggest this template kind of lays that out. And then two, um, you're looking for the required content. It doesn't have to be complicated, right? If you feel like, oh my gosh, what am I doing for team goals? We're just starting out. Well, your goal statement can be simple. It can be, we want to ramp up as a new team. We want to educate the coaches and mentors. We want the kids to have fun. We want to be at a couple of competitions and start to learn about what that's like. That's all you need to do. That would satisfy the requirement for goals. So don't let the content drive complexity, but they should give you some ideas about how to put that content together. And just as John mentioned, take pictures, keep some logs of the meeting, know what activities you did, what your team calendar was, and you can pull most of this information together. All right. 15 pages to the portfolio. Don't underestimate the basics. I've spent a good bit of time judging teams as well. If your portfolio pages aren't numbered, that gets very difficult. If your portfolio doesn't have your team number noted on it, that's impossible. So print it out, follow the basics that John suggested, staple it together, bring some paper copies of it. Even if the qualifier is a remote qualifier where you're submitting this electronically, the judges will be looking at your portfolio the next day. It's sometimes difficult to look at all of them online. So we always bring copies of the portfolio, have them in your booth, have them in your pit, give them to the judges when you do your judging presentation. Just have them available because the more you can get in front of it, the better. I'm going to run through the pages and the organization that we've used in the portfolio for quite some time. We're going to share this electronically, as I said, so we're not going to spend a lot of time here. Engineering portfolio starts with just this cover page, introduce who the team is a little bit. This is a great place to give an overview of your goals, what you're doing, and maybe put some pictures of that, like pictures of the team. Third page can just be your team goals, what you're trying to do this season, how you organized to do it, what your budget was, what your sustainability plan is. And that can be simple at this point, right? That can be our sustainability plan is to, recruit a few mentors, make sure the teams have fun, make sure the parents know what's going on, and start to ramp up, simple things like that. And then describe a little bit about what you're doing with community outreach. It might be simple things like, I want my school to be more aware of it, or I'm a community-based team, and these are the audiences I'm going to touch base on. A page on the engineering design, what your design goals are and what your engineering process is. Again, this can be super simple. A page talking about design iterations. This gives you a chance to talk about different things you tried on your robot, how it evolved, what worked and what didn't work, and starts to show your design process. Take a page to describe your robot. If your robot's got a bunch of different subsystems, here's our drivetrain, here's the thing that picks up the balls, here's the thing that shoots the balls. You can just kind of break it up and put some pictures in and talk about what you're trying to do with each one. A page on innovations. This again can be simple. How did you choose to solve some of your problems, especially as John mentioned, the things that might be different team to team. We then kind of break up into mechanical design and software. How did you use your mechanical design? Did you have a mentor who was an engineer and you talked about a design process? Did you use any 3D printing? Did you use any CAD, or did you just do paper drawings? What your process was to build. Did you build one subsystem at a time, or did you do it all together? There's no right or wrong answers here, but this gives you a format for that. Exactly the same thing for software. How did you structure your software? What were some of the highlights you wanted to accomplish? Maybe some visuals, some code snippets, or pictures of the team working, simple things like that. If you do want to do a control award submission, it's an optional award, but I think it's worth trying. It's just talk about your strategy for controlling the robot and any sensors that you used in it. There is an underlying theme across many of the awards about mathematics. So they're just looking for, did you use any math in the design of your robot? That could be something simple like, hey, we have a spring on our robot to design something, and this is what we did. Or even, we did a basic calculation of dimensions on the robot. The balls are 5 inches in diameter, so we knew this part of the robot had to be a little bit larger. It can be quite simple, but anything where you sat down and said, hey, let me do a little bit of thinking about what the robot should be and maybe some design behind that. Industry experts and those connections. If you've talked to anybody in the industry, that can be your coaches, connections, reaching out to other teams. I would count, hey, you talked to the gearheads a couple of times. absolutely. But where did you reach out outside of your team to find information and help? A page on sharing first within your community, kind of what you're doing to tell other teams about first. Is that, participated in a club fair at your school, or went to a community event and demonstrated your robot, or put some posters up, anything like that. Anything you've done to impact the first community. That can be things that you've gone out and done to help other teams, maybe some fundraising. Maybe you've gone to a STEM fair, you took the team to a maker fair, anything that you've done to get community engagement. And again, as John mentioned, pictures and such. It is good to highlight outreach. Outreach is as large a part of FIRST as the robots are. So we'd suggest, if you had some specific outreach projects, to take a page and talk about your bigger one, why you did it, what you planned, how you approached the event, and what you thought the impact was. And if you've got 2 outreach projects, fantastic. Take a page on each one of those. If you feel if you have content to talk about that. All right. That would get you to 15 pages. And it also would allow you to put in the award content, that John talked about for all the awards. And again, it doesn't need to be complex. The required content is the required content for the awards, but there's nothing that says it has to be complicated. Okay. All right. I'm going to pause there and try to stop this screen sharing so I can get back to the window here. Okay. And I think, do we have Rhea, are there any questions in the chat? We can look at addressing those first.
Not yet.
Okay. We'll just open it for conversations then too. I would ask, we have a couple other gearheads join. So if you have any questions about the portfolios, we'd be happy to give you at least our thoughts on how that works.
I have a question, please.
Sure.
Okay, so especially coming up at like the end of the season, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Brookfield is in February, so we've got another month yet.
Mm-hmm.
So all this season, right, we've been collecting all of this data, all of it obviously pertinent to, right, the awards and everything that our goals that are going through. So how do we narrow it down to be concise, to show the judges that we have done A through Z all throughout the entire season without stating everything from A to Z?
So I'll give some thoughts, and then the gearheads can fill in from what they've seen as well. I think, Jen, one is, if you have that data, if you said, hey, we did 12 outreach events and we did 103 volunteer hours, and you have some of that data, I would give that summary at the top of that page. Okay. It's specific numbers, it's credible, you kept track of it, right? And then pick and choose, maybe you can fit 4 pictures on the page that are the 4 coolest events you went to, and that just adds some data to it. Or you can put pictures of 5 or 6 mentors with a little snippet of what you learned from them, right? So I would take it as, provide the summary data, okay, and to say, this is what we did. And then you can't overwhelm it, right? So you can give some evidence of it and some pictures of the really cool parts of it. And, at that point, the judges can look at a portfolio like that and like, oh my gosh, they did community outreach. I have a sense of the scope of it. I saw 3 or 4 cool activities. And then they've got, then when they come to do pit judging, they can ask your team about it. You can put a poster or 2 up in your pit that maybe got some more details on it. We put up a poster in the pit that has got a full list of every event that we volunteered at or did community outreach at, and it's a table, and it's got, 60 or 70 rows in it, and that shows you how we got to the number of hours we counted. So, I would take that approach of summarize, then give some cool data behind it. And, and because you're just, trying to you got to be credible about it, but, I think that's one way to approach it. If you put so much information, it's lost because you missed the point. And yeah.
Well, right. And that's
Yeah.
when I'm starting to
Yeah.
feel like we're running into is just,
Yep.
there's an overwhelming, but I really like that idea because they do
Yeah.
come to the pit.
Mhm.
So we can further do that. I like that. Thank you.
Okay. Good.
And we have a question in the chat from Team 26164. Are there any details that we should make sure we do not put in our portfolio?
Yeah, Rhea, you have any thoughts? I mean, what do I tell you guys not to put in the portfolio? Maybe that's a negative way to say it, but go ahead.
I would say just a really big thing in first is being positive. So I wouldn't put anything negative in your portfolio. Sorry. So make sure that you're just saying who you are as a team and encouraging values that are popular with first. So gracious professionalism, having fun, teamwork, all that stuff. So just make sure to be positive, and I don't know, what else is there that we should not put in the portfolio?
It's really, I'll give you two things. It's really important to put things that are from this season. And you can confuse judges if hey, we did a project and we did 5 things last year and 4 things this year. 5 things last season, 4 things this season. Some judges will react really negatively about that. And they're supposed to only judge the things that happened that you accomplished as a team this season. So be really clear about that. Don't put stuff from other seasons. Or if you do put something from previous seasons, like, hey, we continued this project, it's the second year of this project for us, make sure you're focused on. Okay. The third thing I would say is don't put anything that's not true or that you don't know about. Don't say that you did something that you really didn't. Okay. Or don't stretch the truth, because what's going to happen is, as a team member, one of you is going to get asked about it and you won't know, or you'll have an inconsistent answers. So I think it's really important, so we'll sometimes pull back the kids a little bit if they're saying, hey, that might be a little bit more than what we actually did, or you might be made that sound bigger than it really was. We'll encourage people to stay, really factual and really true to the scope of what we already did, what we actually did. Yeah.
And just as an added thing, so in past seasons, what they've done is as soon as like the old season or like your last season ends, so whether that's at a qualifier or state or worlds, then from that moment on, you can count all those numbers and all those events. But something new this year is you count from January of so you could count all the way from January of 2025 to now. So that helps bolster numbers and that kind of stuff. Also, a new question. Because of that condition, should I include things from the last off season, such as events we did? Yeah.
Yeah.
You
I always view it, there's no off season in FTC. If you got to the state competition, everything that happened right after the state competition is fair game for the next season. Or if the Battle of Brookfield, excuse me, if the skirmish in Brookfield, the Brookfield rookie qualifier is your last qualifier, then the next thing you do should be included in the next season for sure. Yeah. All right, awesome. We're right at time, just a minute over. So we'll wrap it up there tonight, and hopefully to see some of you on Thursday for the judging presentation. All right, take care.